Okay, so this is section 3.7, but part 2. Now, here's your joke for tonight. What do mathematicians eat on Halloween? Pumpkin pie. Get it? As in pie, P-I? Okay, so in the first part of the video, we talked about slope-intercept form. Which is y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope and b is my y-intercept. We also talked about point slope form, and we had y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And to use that form, you needed a point, which is where x1, y1 is at. And then you also needed the slope. Now I already know what you're thinking. Okay, how did I calculate slope again? So let's review that. Slope is known as rise over run. And to find your rise, you subtract your y values. You're finding the difference in your y's. And you're going to divide that by the difference in your x coordinates. Well, now that we have reviewed those formulas a little bit, we're going to go ahead and practice. We want to write the equation of each line, but we want to write it in the specific given form. So number 7, we have a line with a slope of 6 through the point 3, negative 4, and we want to put it in point slope form. So I'm going to start by writing my form. Y minus y1 equals m times the quantity x minus x1. Now take a look back at what problem 7 gives you. I have a slope of 6. That tells me that m is 6. It also gives me a point, 3, 4. Well, that 3 is my x-coordinate, and the 4 is my y-coordinate. So what I need to do now is just the substitution. Y minus the y-coordinate of my point, which is negative 4, is equal to my slope of 6 times the quantity x minus my x-coordinate. Now the reason I put my y-coordinate in parentheses is because what happens when I subtract a negative number? It becomes y plus 4 equals 6 times the quantity x minus 3. And that is point slope form. Okay, so let's try number 8 now. But we want to put it in slope intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b. Now you can go through this in a variety of ways, but we need to know the slope and the y-intercept. Now I don't know either one of those, but I do have 2 points I could calculate my slope. So I'm going to start there. I'm going to subtract my y's, so I have 2 minus 0. Divide that by the difference in my x's. 1 minus negative 1. 2 minus 0 is 2. 1 minus negative 1 is really 1 plus 1, and I get 2 again. 2 divided by 2 is 1. So I have a slope of 1. Okay, now, to find my y-intercept, I can either continue to use slope-intercept form, or I can go back and I can use point slope form and then solve it for y. So I might do the latter. Pick either point that you want to use. I'm going to go ahead and pick this first point because there's a 0 in it. And let's say I use point slope form. So I'm going to substitute my slope, which is 1. I'm going to put the negative 1 right here in for my x-coordinate, so x minus negative 1. That becomes x plus 1. And then I have y minus 0, which is just y. I can distribute 1, but I get the same thing. Y equals x plus 1. And it's already solved for y. It's already now in slope-intercept form. I'm done. Okay, we're going to save number 9 and go over it in class together. Okay, what I want to do now is move on to graphing lines. So I'm going to look at number 10. We have y equals 2/3 x plus 1. And you may notice that this is in slope-intercept form. My coefficient of x is my slope, so m is 2/3, which means I go up 2, run 3. My constant term then is my y-intercept. As a point, that is going to be 0, 1. So when I go to graph lines, I want to plot my y-intercept first. And I use that point and my slope to get my next point on the line. So for my y-intercept, I now need to go up 2 and over 3. And then I go up 2 again, right 3. And I could keep continuing in this order. And using a ruler, draw a line to connect your points. And there's your graph. Okay, so you're probably asking yourself, all right, I can graph in slope-intercept form, but how do I graph in point-slope form? So you got to start by what point-slope form gives you. It tells you a point, and it tells you the slope. Now you need to pick them out from the equation. Well, the slope is the easy part. It's the number that's multiplied by the quantity of x. Now the point is with the x-coordinate and the y-coordinate. Now remember, the general form for point slope is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And if you notice on the x-coordinates, instead of x minus a 3, I have x plus 3. So how did they get this sign here to switch from subtraction to addition? Well, it must have been that they put in a -3. Because when I subtract negative numbers, that's when they become adding the value. And then right here, y minus 3, that means that the 3, I want the positive value. Remember, it's always opposite from point-slope form. Okay, so I start by plotting my point, -3, 3. And then from that point, I'm going to follow my slope. A slope of -2 is really -2 over 1. I'm going to go down 2, right 1. So down 2, right 1. Down 2, right 1. And you need to continue until you have at least 3 points. Use your ruler, draw your line. Okay, what I want you to do now is go ahead and graph number 12 on your own. And I'll check it tomorrow in class.